really forgot a lot of things.
Okay, we're
Okay. Pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. And it's been a long time since we've done a class for Torah Anytime. And it's really lovely teaching outside of the webinar world and teaching on a perspective of current times. And today's class is Emuna Emotions on current times. And today we're really going to talk about the whole idea of Ahavat Yisrael, and for all of us living here, of course, give us chizuk about living here in Eretz Yisrael and how it drives us to do our avoda by living here in Eretz Yisrael. You think that you're here just for the Kedusha, but that you don't realize, what we don't realize, is that so much more comes out of us by living here. So we'll talk about that as well. But before I begin, I do want to start with some notices and exciting news. So first of all, I just got back from the Ukraine with an amazing group, and we're going back again August 23rd to August 28th. So, do you see it? Yeah? So, for anybody who would like to join, it's really important to join soon because the prices in August are skyrocketing. The Ukraine Airlines, they know that we're nuts about Uman, and they know we're nuts about the Ukraine, and that it's become more and more popular, and the airline tickets are just shooting up. It's really important to book soon, so if anybody wants to come, it's an amazing trip, and I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at how majorly it affects women for weeks and months after they come back. That we have groups on the WhatsApp of the women that go, and we're constantly in touch. And then when they see a new flyer come out on top of from their past group, they're like, "Oh, anybody want to come back? Hi. Anybody want to go back? I want to go back." It's you really do become addicted. You become addicted. I was just telling Zahava, I said, when you put your hands on the kever of the Baal Shem Tov, that's a moment that you can't relive that moment. That moment, it's like, in fact, I have to say, if you look at the flyer, there's a flyer here. Someone spotted a picture of me when I had gone into the kever of the Baal Shem Tov. And I don't know where this came from. Okay, you have to understand the tziyun of the Baal Shem Tov, there's like two windows, basically. This beam of light is shining down on my head. I don't even know. It was a spontaneous picture. Someone took to me, and then they sent me the picture from the group. And I said, wow, if that's what was really going on top of my head, I felt it. This beam, this togetherness, this connectedness. Again, women have asked, how is it you're going from Israel and you're leaving Israel? There's so much Kedusha here. There's so much of the tzaddikim here. Why are you flying off? And I bring down and I say to them, it's written even in the Gemara that you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. There's 4 or 5 stipulated conditions that you're allowed to leave Israel. And one of them is to go and see a tzaddik. One of them is to go get a bracha from your Rebbe. Actually, I think those are the exact words brought down in the Gemara. And so this is literally, you're going to away, so to speak, from Eretz Yisrael, but you're really standing on Admat Kodesh. The Lubavitcher Rebbe brings down Zatzal, that when you stand on the land surrounding the kever of a tzaddik, you're standing on the land of Eretz Yisrael. You literally are going from Israel to Israel, just in another, so to speak, spectrum of a country, but you really are still staying in the land of Kedusha. So anyway, I'm encouraging, there's another flyer here if anybody would like. I can't say more words about it. Just the experience itself, shows and presents itself. When you come back, you'll be like, now I understand what you were talking about. And the next opportunity I'd like to bring about in terms of very, very exciting news, I'm very excited, is that I'm in the final stages of publishing my second book, Be'ezrat Hashem, which is very, very exciting. Did you ever get a book? We gotta have, yeah, we really, no, well, I don't have, okay, we'll have to figure that out. But anyway, this is the first book, and it's interesting because there have been ladies who have been following the Daily Dose of Emuna who didn't even know that there was even a book out there. So here everyone can see it. It's called Turn Around 180 Degrees in 180 Days. It's been out for 5 years? No.
No.
3 years.
Must
3.5
be.
years. 3.5. You think I look in my own book? Really? I think it's 3.5 years. I'm almost sure. Yeah, 2015. So
3 years.
yeah, 3 years. 3 years it came out actually around in March. So it has been 3 years. So 3 years, and you can't find it. I have to get it reprinted. We have to go for a second printing. But
Third print.
third printing. You're right. The second printing was soft cover. You're right. Thank you. So anyway, so this is the book that if you don't find it for some reason on Amazon or any of the bookstores, let me know and we'll make sure we restock it. But in the Be'ezrat Hashem, this upcoming book is really more of a chapter. It's different from this book. This is more of a lesson a day. And the upcoming book, Be'ezrat Hashem, is more of a chapter book. It discusses a lot about the whole idea of emotional wellness, emotional health through the energy centers of the Sfirot. There are a lot of going to be Be'ezrat Hashem rabbinical haskamas on it, so that we know and understand that there are Torah sources that stand behind balancing our energy, using energy medicine that's available out there, which I believe is the new Eden of the medicine of Mashiach, Be'ezrat Hashem. I discuss very much in detail my journey with my MS and how the energy medicine that I'm currently practicing, teaching, learning every day about it, it really is an amazing healing technique that we have within us the ability to move away the negative blockages and negative energies in our body and really promote honest, wholesome feelings about who we are, where we are, and how we can achieve greater emotional, health and strength. So the reason why I'm presenting it is because I'm right now at the final stages of collecting book sponsorship for whoever would like to make a book dedication. Inside the book, there are different book sponsorship opportunities. And just like in this first book where, I thank God there was so many amazing women. Some of them just have, their name is just listed. Depending, again, I'd love to give credit for everybody. But then there are full-page opportunities, there are half-page opportunities. And Be'ezrat Hashem, just like this book, Baruch Hashem sold thousands. Be'ezrat Hashem, the next one will sell thousands, and will be a zchut, and all money is maaser. All the book contributions and sponsorship are all maaser money. So, I'm happy to give more information for whoever needs. Okay, so Chodesh Tammuz. I have a lot what to say, and hopefully everyone will be very receptive of what we're going to learn tonight, because we're entering into the 3 weeks, and we're entering into a time where we know what the avoda of the 3 weeks is, and we understand that we really, really need to work on Ahavta L'Reicha Kamocha, and no matter how many times we hear it, and know how many times and how many books we read, we have to recognize and understand that it's something that has to be learned. It has to be learned, it has to be churned, it has to be ingrained and infused into the kishkas of our being, because without it, no geula is going to come. It's the tikkun of our generation. It's the tikkun of our own nefesh. It allows emotional freedom. Because when we have resentment, frustration, all the negative emotions stuck inside of us towards ourselves, V'ahavta L'Reicha Kamocha begins with you. V'ahavta L'Reicha Kamocha, which means I can't love anybody else unless I love myself. If I don't learn to love myself and appreciate the artist, the supreme authority, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that created me in His tzelem, the image, I hold the image of Hashem, unless I begin to recognize that I am of value, then I can now open up myself and free myself of all the anger that I have stuck within me, all the guilt, all the things I feel I should have done and I could have done, and if I would have done, all of those various motions that travel constantly from the mind into the heart, into the kishkas, into the body, that we become the illnesses, the physical illnesses of the body, all begin in those stuck emotions that we have within us. Unless we learn to free that up, it really is the road to freedom in terms of personal geula and collective geula, Be'ezrat Hashem. So we have to go back to square one. The reason for all of this galut, the reason why we're here, the reason why we breathe the air that we breathe, the reason why we live in the houses that we live, the reason why we're married to the beautiful men that we're married to, or going to be married to, Bezrat Hashem, soon. The reason why we have what we have and we live under the circumstances that we have is for one reason: to discover Hashem. Tulo, as they say. There's no other reason for me to be in existence here unless I can somehow form a level of communication of dvekut. That's the level of the Baal Shem Tov that he teaches. As unless I could reach a level of dvekut and cleaving and clinging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there is absolutely no reason to have neighbors, dogs, pets, birds, pina coladas, chocolate cake. There's no reason to have anything in existence unless I can somehow elevate myself to have an attachment to Hashem. So if I'm looking at everything around me, I have to go beyond the kesher of the here and now, the face value, and I have to attach myself and zoom into the godliness of the event or the person that I'm looking into. Now, what happens? Many times, unfortunately, we find ourselves very vulnerable in a situation where I'm facing someone or an event. I now have to face a part of weakness within myself, maybe a hardship, a challenge. And many, many times we find ourselves sort of pushed to the wall, feeling, how am I going to get out of here? How am I going to make it through? How can I see the goodness here? How can I find Hashem's light when all I see is darkness and pain? I was just speaking to a lady today who called me up, and so interesting, but she was saying to me how she's been going through this really difficult time, and the Rebbeim that she's speaking to, they keep saying to her, read the book on say thank you and merit the miracles, or I think something like that. And she said, I've been trying the last couple of months. All I've been doing is saying thank you. And every day, half an hour, hit bodadu. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And she says, but I'm still calling you because I'm still having a really hard time. So I said, well, obviously there's something missing in that hit bodadu, thank you. So I was explaining to her my personal experience in the attempt to live that type of, advice that we get. And I'm not belittling it, God forbid. I was saying to her, I said, just like you have the Derech of Chabad who believe, and I'm pro for it, believe in putting on tefillin in the middle of 42nd Street, and then the guy can leave and go and have a cheeseburger, and they don't care, because for that moment that they're putting on the tefillin, they're a Jew, and they're being Mekayim the mitzvah of tefillin, right? And that works, and that might ignite that Jew, when after eats the cheeseburger, say, I can't do this anymore. I've got to choose a Jew. That might work for them, and that's great. But then you've got the other guy who needs, I hate to say it, to be told that he's destined to go to Gehenna if he continues on this. I know you're going to frown and you're going to say, how can that be? There are people who need that derech, who need yirah. They need to come back to Hashem through yirah and not ahava. That's why Hashem says, Avinu Malkeinu. Sometimes I'm your Avinu, and that's love and Chabad, and that's wonderful. But sometimes I'm Malkeinu. Malkeinu means I'm your king, you're my servant, and you've got to do what I tell you, and if not, oy vavoy, because you're my servant, and you have to listen to the master. So there's both derechs, and nobody's to say that one has to be better than the next. It speaks to each person's nefesh at different times, also in their life. There could be periods in your life where you're going to need to be hugged and loved and validated, and then there are periods in your life where you're taking that love and friendliness and softness of Hashem a little bit too far, and you have to open up the book of Mesilat Yesharim, right, the path of the just, or Chot Tzadikim, right, and you have to say, oh my gosh, is this what's going to be if I'm going to just continue on this derech? Hashem can't just keep forgiving me. I got to get my act together, right? So there's got to be that derech of the two. Can I have a little bit of water? I'm sorry. Water? Yeah. So the idea is that what I was basically saying to her is that the path of serving Hashem within even my derech, of how I have felt the journey of my own, of how I have come closer to Hashem. I remember when I had made Aliyah close to 9 years ago, The first few years were riddled with a lot of MS relapses. 3 times a year, I was using a walker, sometimes a wheelchair, like constantly battling this MS relapse after relapse. By the time I got over 1, 2 months later, I was already on steroids for the second. It was like crazy. And I remember I had women coming to me, saying to me, you've got to say thank you, you've got to say thank you, you've got to say thank you, you've got to say thank you. And I'd be like, okay, I'll try. I'll really try. And I would sit there and I would try so hard. I would try so hard. Thank you, Hashem, my MSM. And inside I can hear myself saying, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Are you kidding yourself? You're saying thank you to Hashem. You're in massive pain. You're 40 years old. You're in a wheelchair or walker. What are you thanking Hashem for? Like, this is what's going on in my mind. But I'm like, but everyone keeps saying I have to say thank you. So I'm going to just keep saying thank you. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. And I'm like, I kept just, this battle kept going on. And then I was really opened up to the derech of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, who teaches a little bit of a new, it's like an angle to this derech, okay? And the angle that I had learned was that you need the pathway of honesty. The pathway of honesty has to accompany the derech of thank you, thank you, thank you. Meanings, I'll give you a scenario. So I started learning that instead of me going to Hashem and trying to brainwash myself to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, it may work for some people, and that's fine, that's great. But I'm here talking to the ladies it doesn't work to. For instance, this lady who called me today. And she said to me, I'm calling you because it's not working for me. And now you end up feeling double worse because you're saying, everyone's saying I need to say thank you, but I don't want to say thank you, and I'm not happy saying thank you. And then you really feel like, there's no chance for me. I'm so low on my Emuna, like I can't even get myself to say thank you. And I know that it's good, but I can't get myself to say thank you. You feel even worse, doubly worse about yourself. So I said to her, listen, I'll tell you what I did, and I can only teach what works for me. I can't stand in front of a camera and in front of a group of women and teach something that I personally, again, I'm not saying that doesn't work. Uvda, that book is a bestseller, and I know it's helped many, many, many women. But for me, personally, it didn't, do enough, because there was another little angle that I needed to include into that derech. And this is what I found. I found that if I put my honesty out in front of the table and I said to Hashem something like this, Hashem, I'm nuts about you. I love you till no end. And I know you're nuts about me. I know you love me. I know I'm sick in love with you. I know you're sick in love with me. I know you want to do everything good for me. I know that in this MS there's something amazing waiting to be revealed to me, but I just don't feel it. I just can't. It doesn't resonate to me right now. I want to feel your love. I want nothing more than to say thank you, but I can't. I can't right now. I feel like I'm a little baby that needs to be taught how to appreciate the beauty in a mother saying no to her child. I need to appreciate the fact that my mother is saying no to candy number 10, because if not, I'm going to end up having a tummy ache that'll be worse than the 10th candy. And I'm not in that space right now. So can you please just not lose hope in me and take me along, hug me along this derech. Don't give up on me, because I'm not giving up on me. And I know that I can get to a point where I can truly appreciate the gift in my MS. I know I can, but I'm not there yet. Can you help me? I want nothing more than to thank you for this gift, but I don't feel it right now. And I felt that little nuance of the bridge that I felt like, so it's okay. It's okay to be human and to be, and I would say to Hashem, I'm in a klipa right now. I can't feel your light. I know there's light, but I'm under so many layers of yuckiness and negativity that I can't experience your light right now. So just help me along the way, because I know it's there, and I'm not losing hope in the fact that it's there, but help me say thank you to you. Help me, bring me to the level of awareness so I could say thank you to you. And I kept going on with that over and over and over again. And at one point, I won't ever forget, I was standing on the mirpeset, and I actually yelled at, thank you for my MS. I actually yelled at it, and I felt it. I felt it resonate inside of me. And with that came thank you for a million other things of difficulties in my childhood that I never would imagine that I could ever say thank you for. Because once you allow yourself to, you humanize yourself, you allow yourself to say, I'm just not there. I can't bring myself to say thank you when I don't feel thankful because I'm in pain. And so I brought the example to this particular lady and I said, in doing the energy sessions that I do, I many times send a meditation audio called Forgive and Let Go. And I would send it to the ladies and I give them homework in between sessions. I say, this is your homework. You need to practice this. So there's all different homeworks, the meditations and whatever. And this forgiving and letting go is one of the audio meditations I send to women. That's part of their avoda to continue their energy lines and keep them open and help themselves and grow into awareness. And not once and not twice and not 3 times do I get an WhatsApp or email back saying, I can't do this. I can't forgive and let go the X, Y, and Z in my life. Are you kidding me? I can't. I've tried. I tried, so I can't do it. So I came up with another idea. Hashem implanted in my little pea brain another idea. Why don't you come up with a different way of saying it? And so I came up with this prepared to forgive and let go. And I actually made another audio meditation. And it's called the Declaration to Prepare Myself to Work. And this is what, instead of me saying, I forgive and let go, it's I am willing to work and prepare myself to forgive and let go. And that's sort of like that bridge where I get to acknowledge the fact that, no, I'm not there yet, but I'm willing to work on it. And that, then, you know how empowering it is to graduate to the final destination after that preparation. It's like when you're ready, then you can graduate to the I forgive and let go. Do you know how empowering that is when you could say, wow, I wasn't there a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm there. That's amazing. It's you literally feel like you've just opened up this dam of negativity and it's gone. It's moving away and you really are letting go. So the reason why I brought this whole introduction is because we need to understand is that the only road to really be able to achieve the love of thy neighbor is only if I can achieve the love of myself. And unless I work on that, and unless I'm willing to let go of those resentments, the blockages, not just energetically, but the blockages of Hashem's light trying to enter into my soul, eventually, when it doesn't go into my body, then whatever's holding those cells together begin to fall apart because there's no glue. The light is glue. It holds the cellular structure and the molecular structure of everything that goes on in my body together. And unless I have that light shining in me in a proper, healthy flow and harmony, then eventually, God forbid, it turns into illnesses. Now, how could that be that essentially Hashem shows me all these different things that happen to me in my life, and I'm supposed to look at it, and I'm supposed to say, okay, well, this is for my very best. There's something here that, there's a message here that I need, that especially tailored for me, and I need to take it in, and I need to accept it. I need to learn and grow from it. How am I supposed to do that? So if we recognize the truthful reality that is, sorry to say, welcome to Animal Kingdom, but we are all animals. At the baseline of our soul's mechanism, we are all made up the same material as the animal, the dog, the bird, the cockroach, the water bug. We all have the same mechanism as the animals. But Hashem in His Rahmanis said, I don't want a bunch of animals just interacting with one another and trying to become godly. So I'm going to have to give them something, some pathway that's going to be able to that's going to enable them to be able to emulate and become cleave to me and become like me. So Hashem gave us this add-on called the Neshama Chelak Eloka Mimah, this beautiful godly spark. But without that godly spark, if Hashem was for 1 minute to extract that godly spark from within us, guess what? We would all go on 4 and go woof woof. We would literally all retract back to animals. And how can I prove that to us? Just for 1 second, forget about God and see how your response will be when your husband doesn't take out the garbage and your children don't clean up their room and and the neighbor decides to drill a hole in the wall at 2 a.m. Let me see you act godly. Mm-hmm. If for 1 minute Hashem would take and remove his godly presence from you, you wouldn't be able to. You would not be able to maintain a godly fashion, a humane, poised fashion. You wouldn't be able to. So if I'm looking at someone in my life who appears to be out of control or negative or weak or challenged in whatever way that pushes my button, what I need to know is at that moment, that person, godly image, has been weakened. And just like it can happen to me, it happened to them. Why am I seeing it? Because there's a Torah that the Baal Shem Tov teaches called Torat HaMenorot, Hamarot, the Torah of mirrors. And for those who've been following the Daily Dose classes know that I preach very much this Torah, where this Torah teaches us that everything that we see on the outside is essentially a reflection of what's going on in the inside, but not just a reflection. And here's where I want to take it one step deeper, because I feel like we've graduated from that concept and we kind of not fighting that concept hopefully anymore. I want to take it one step further, and I want to bring in a second aspect to the Torah, which is Anachnu Arevim Zeh Bazeh. Now there's a machloket, there's a disagreement. Some commentaries read the pasuk as Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh La Zeh. All of Israel are mixed up, are combined, are responsible for one another, one to the other. And some of the commentaries bring down and say that everyone in Israel is responsible within. Zeh means within one another, meaning there's a part of me that's tick-tocking inside of every single one of you and vice versa. That my arm, when I move my arm, someone else is moving their leg. We're moving really the same matrix, which is really why I'm so intrigued by energy work, is because that's essentially what energy work is that we realize there's a whole matrix of consciousness. And as I think, I affect someone else, and I can send different things out and radiate different messages out to different people, different times, different places of the world. And so, essentially, this Torah, what we call Torat HaArvut, the Baal Sulam HaKadosh brings down that this Torah is so important that before Hashem brought down the Torah to this world, we can ask her to turn on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel my face, if it's possible. But the idea that the Baal Sulam brings down is that the prerequisite before the Torah was even brought down to us, each and every one from Israel was asked if he agreed to take upon himself the mitzvah of loving others in the full measure, love thy friend as thyself, and each of Israel took upon themselves to care, listen to this, care, these are the exact words of the Baal Sulam HaKadosh, the latest commentary on the Zohar Kadosh, to take care and work for each member of the nation, no less than the measure imprinted in him to care for his own needs. Meaning, if I am worried about myself, how I'm going to pay the rent this month, I need to make sure, and it sounds, I'm sorry, it does sound almost utterly human possible, but obviously this is the requirement. To receive the Torah, I need to, when I go to bed at night, I need to think to myself, how is my neighbor going to pay her rent this month? I need to not just be thinking about how I'm going to do it, but how the next neighbor is going to be doing it as well. This is the requirement. This is not hidur mitzvah. This is not elevating the mitzvah to a place of tzaddikim or chasidim. This is not olam hachassidut. This is baseline v'ahavta l'Reicha Kamocha. This is the simple pshat perush of v'ahavta l'Reicha Kamocha. When I go to bed, I need to be thinking about the boo-boo on someone else's child's knee. Like it was, it happens to be my son came home with a boo-boo on his knee, so that's why it runs quickly to me. But that's what I need to be thinking about. I need to be thinking about the other person's pain and or, Bezrat Hashem, happiness, simchas. I need to be dancing in my living room when I know my neighbor is marrying off their child and I couldn't, for some reason, be there. I need to be in the same realm of happiness, sadness, God forbid, whatever it is, as someone else. And the Baal Sulam brings down, and I quote, when one feels that one's soul exists in the whole of Israel, in each and every one of them, at that time, he is complete, flawless, and the soul truly shines on him in its fullest power as it appeared in Adam Harishon before the Chet. So in other words, there's no other way to achieve the fullness and energy and light within myself unless I could truly say, I love everyone. So look at what we're understanding here. Without that letting go of all that emotional gook that we have stuck in us. Why don't I have that husband? Why don't I have those kids? Why don't I have that amount of money in my bank? Why? Unless I let go of all of that within myself, I haven't been able to begin to achieve the full light and koach, the soul power of the energy that Hashem wants to give me every day, that He gives me every day, but I somehow block out because of my inner negative emotions. Unless I work through my own emotional perspective and recognize that I have to accept what it is that's going on in my life. I have to accept my husband, I have to accept my neighbor, I have to accept my in-laws, I have to accept myself for who I am, for what they are, for the circumstances that I'm facing right now. I need to accept it and let go of the negativity as quickly and as truthfully and as honestly as possible. And if that means that I can't stand in front of Hashem and say just thank you, plain old thank you for everything, because that's not achieving that level of truth. And one of the things I was also mentioning to this lady I was on the phone with is I said, listen, true encompassment of true avoda has to happen on 4 levels of consciousness, through the 4 levels of the soul, through the 4 different worlds that each level of the soul is connected to. And I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'll just give you an idea. There are 4 levels of avoda, okay? Many of us don't work on all those 4 levels. We only work on 1, 2, alevai 3. And those 4 levels are thought, speech, feeling, emotion, and action. We need to be able, if I want to really free myself of some sort of form of negativity in my life, I need to be able to be thinking about positivity towards that person, speaking positivity towards that person, feeling positively about that person, and actively doing something to show some sort of form of positivity towards that person. And unless, if I feel that on one of those levels I'm not able to do that, that's the level I need to know that I need to work on, because something in me is not allowing for light to come in. It's a gauge, it's a barometer, it's a measurement tool for me to be able to see whether or not I am really truthfully attached on all 4 levels of my soul to allowing godly light to enter in me. I have to be honest with myself, and I have to say, well, I could speak words of thankfulness, but do I think it? As I'm washing the dishes, can I say thank you, Hashem, for everything that you're doing for me? Thank you for my husband who just yelled at me. Thank you for the no money in the bank. Do I think about it? It's not just enough that I say it. Do I feel it? Can I really feel it in my kitchen? Can I say and feel it? Can I feel it in my emotions? Thank you, Hashem, for all the mishugas that I have in my life. Can I really smile to that? Okay, that's the level I now need. Maybe I need to work it. Now look anatomically, look at the way Hashem created in His divine wisdom at the body. You have the mind, go down, you have the mouth, go down, you have the heart, go down, you have the liver, which is the action. That's the way Hashem wants us to work within ourselves. First, I have to work on thinking about it all the time. Just think about it. Forget about even talking about it. Just keep thinking. What are the reasons? What are you trying to show to me, Hashem? What are you showing me when you're showing me this person, this activity, this, difficulty, this weakness? What are you showing me? And just let it churn in your mind. Then start talking about it. Talking about it also has to happen on a bunch of different levels. To a friend, to yourself, to Hashem. It's not enough to just talk to a friend. It's not enough just to talk to yourself. It's not enough to just talk to Hashem. You need to have avenues by which, and I'm not saying speaking Lashon Hara, let's say you have a problem with your husband. You don't want to tell the whole neighborhood, oh, it's part of my opening up my energy channels. Orit said it's okay to talk about all my difficulties. I'm just releasing negative energy, that's all. No. You choose maybe one person, you choose a special friend, and you say to them in advance, if you need to, I need to let my heart out. I have some issues. I just need to be able to have an outlet. This is for constructive purposes, are you willing to open up your heart to me? Can I speak to you, and can you be counteract what I'm saying to you and allow me to feel comfortable enough to say what it is that I feel? I'm jealous of my neighbor. Do you know, and you could say to your friend, do you know how jealous I am of my neighbor? Do you know how much it bothers me that she has an amazing husband who buys her flowers, red roses, every Shabbos I see him walking up the stairs in the building and buying her red roses and putting them on the table, and I hear her saying, honey, I love you so much. What did I do to deserve such an amazing husband like you? I'm jealous of that. Why don't I have a husband like that? I need to be able to find an outlet to be truthful with myself and say, yes, that bothers me. Yeah, it bothers me that girl eats chocolate cake all day long and she's a size 0, and I try so hard to do it. You could see my own avoda, right? I can only talk about the things. I'm just kidding. My husband happens to buy me flowers, but there are other things I have. I do happen to have, most of the times, flowers. And if not, we do have synthetic flowers as an alternative. But the idea is that I have to be able to be honest with myself. I have to be able to come and be in a truthful place within myself. And unless I can achieve that, it's going to be very hard for me to just say thank you. Again, this is what works for me. I'm not bashing any other shitas. I'm not saying it doesn't work. But for me personally, I just wanted to be able to say that there's another alternative to reaching that level if we feel that we're not on that level, to be able to clearly say thank you. Any questions, any thoughts?
You're saying just to elaborate on that with a friend is enough to release?
One of the avenues. Friend, yourself, you have to talk about with yourself as well. You have to be honest and say, many times I adjust and say, Orit, you know what? That was really, that was disgusting. And I know why I did that. And I'll say to myself, I know why you did that. You did it because you're jealous. And you know what? You've got to get this jealousy out. You have to get that jealousy. And I'll just talk to myself. And you know what? It's very relieving to acknowledge that this is my presence where I am right now. And that usually leads into a conversation of, Hashem, have rachamim on me. Just please, my godly spark has been hidden for a long time. Just shine it right back onto me. I'm really distant from you at this point. And again, it comes with a lot of tachnunim, a lot of yearning. Don't leave me in this klipa, Hashem. I don't want to be in this klipa. Don't leave. You know how many times that's like my famous word, Hashem, don't leave me here. Just don't leave me here. I feel alone. I feel dark. I feel disgusting. I don't want to be here anymore. I know no one else could save me. There's no one else in this existence that can save me from this klipa. I want to be released. I want to be redeemed. I'm looking to you. I'm reaching out to you. You're the only one that can help me. I don't feel happy. I don't feel thankful. Whatever it is that I don't feel, or whatever it is I do feel that I want to let go of, I need to be able to say, I want to thank you for my existence, but I'm having a really hard time with it. And I'm going to daven to you until you release me from this exile. And that's a beautiful way of reaching out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Be'ezrat Hashem. So I want to go back to that whole animal existence. So the idea when I say that we're all animals at heart, what that means is when I see someone else, I'm walking down the street and I see someone smacking their child in the middle of the street. Could happen to anyone, right? Happens maybe to some of us in the privacy of our own homes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I smacked my child. What was I thinking? So sometimes we see it on the outside and it happens. What does that mean to me? If everything on the outside is not only a mirror for me, but it's me. Remember what we said, Arevim ze baze, I am within there. I'm smacking my child right now. When I'm seeing that mother smack her child in the middle of the street or screaming or whatever, that's me. I'm not just, now, again, when you look at the mirror, you're not looking at anyone else. You are there. You move your hand that way, your reflection. Everything you're seeing, actually the exact words of the Baal Shem Tov is Shemetz minehu yeshbo. Shemetz minehu means there's a shmutz of that in you. Shemetz minehu, something, there's a shmutz of that other person from you. The reason why you're seeing it on that person is because God wanted to show you, that's you, honey. You like what you see in the mirror? That's you. But I never hit my child. Could be. I never hit my child. I'm never that aggressive with my child. Well, here I come to a very beautiful opportunity for us to be able to learn something about ourselves. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful teaching. When I learned this, I literally was like, literally how you salivate when you can understand the pirush of what it means that the Torah is sweeter than honey. Because when you read this, you're like, oh my gosh, Hashem, you're so amazing, you're so wonderful, you're so great, you're absolutely fantastic, Hashem, I can't live without you. So it's brought down, again, the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh brings down this. He says, and he teaches us, in order, okay, there's a machloket of who has the zchut to enter into Gan Eden. And there's a machloket, there's a disagreement. Do you have to be Mekayim all 613 mitzvot to be Zochet to Gan Eden? Do you have to be Mekayim only one? If you're not Mekayim all of them, does that mean you go into Gehenom and then you go into Gan Eden? Or are you Zocher Olam Haba? There's a whole machloket, and there are many different drashas and different ways of explaining it and different ways of understanding it. But the Arizal brings down, and he says like this. The Arizal brings down, every Jew must participate in all 613 mitzvot to be Zocher to Chayei Olam Haba. After he dips into Gehenna, everybody has to dip into Gehenna, because there's always a shemetz of some sort of avon that we all have to clean out at one point, and for the tzaddikim it could be dip out, and for us, whatever, Hashem should have Rahmanas on us. But the bottom line is every single one of us has to go through some sort of form of cleansing, and after that, Be'ezrat Hashem, the idea is to get to Gan Eden, to Chayei Olam Haba, for eternity. So the Arizal says, if you are not Mekayim, all 613 mitzvot, that is the reason why there is what's called reincarnation, and you will have to come back, and Hashem will give you the opportunity so that you'll be Zochet to Chayei HaOlam Haba. You will have to come back, once as a Kohen, once as a Levi, once as a woman, once as a man, once as a thief, once as a liar, right? Is that not, hold on, is that not, that I'm already maybe cuckoo to just think about that, yeah.
I heard there's only 3 times that we come back.
So there's sparks within the levels of the neshama. There are sparks and there's madregas of, the neshama is very complex. There are levels on levels on levels on levels in different worlds, in different spheres, in different consciousness. There are sparks of different aspects. So you have Adam HaRishon, and then from Adam HaRishon there were sparks that were left out, and then from that sparks there's other levels within the level of the spark that you have to correct on each. There's different levels of it. But basically that's how I'm going to explain it. I don't understand more than that.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand more than that. That's all I'm saying to you, is that it's not such a simple thing to just say 3 times and that's it. 3 times and you're out. That's not the way it is. There's many more levels of understanding what is that 3 level. What does it mean 3 times? Is it 3 times the same level? Is it 3 times on different levels? What does that mean? We don't know. I don't understand the gates of reincarnations. I tried to read it. It looks like Chinese to me. Like, I really don't understand. I'm not a Kabbalist, and I don't understand Kabbalah. But there's certain nuances of work, of limud that Hashem enables me, particularly on Shabbat, by the way, to understand. I'm not able to understand any of this during the week. 0. If you want to ever understand something deep, go and learn it only on Shabbat. I can't understand any of it. And the teaser about Shabbat is you can't write anything that you know.
Right.
That's the teaser. So I have all these little ptakim all over books. Like in books, I know I can't write, so I'll do a little. And some say even I don't even know. I know there's some machloket even can you even do these little markers? But I basically put like little ptakim so that I can remember to zoom into that one again, and then I go back to the Shabbat. I'm like, why did I put a marker there? Like, I don't know what's so special about. The wisdom literally leaves you. Okay, but sometimes you have sparks. Mamash. And then it takes the wisdom away. I wish they would keep the wisdom. All right, whatever. We'll hopefully get it. They do say you get it back in the Chayei Olam Haba. Everything that you learned. Everything you think you forgot, you get it all back. So it's stored somewhere up in a treasure bank, hopefully, up there for all of us. Where was I at? I don't remember. Anyway, so, about the whole sparks. About the whole sparks and the whole idea of the levels of tikkun. And the reason why I said that was that Rizal, and he brought back that remind me.
We come in all kind of
613.
613. Thank you. That's the Nakuda that I have to go back to. Okay, so we have to. So the Rizal says that basically the only way to be able to achieve this wholesomeness of the 613 is through the Gilgulim. Comes down and brings down the Torah of Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, and the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh teaches us something beautiful, a freeway ticket. And he says, you know what? You don't really have to do all that. You know what you can do? You could just attach yourself to other people in Am Yisrael. You're a woman now? Somehow or another, when you see a man doing something that seems out of your character, you can somehow, not attach to them physically, but you can somehow attach to that person and relate to them, do tshuva on your own through what you're seeing in that other person, and by doing so, you are as if in the male existence, and you're able to achieve something through that attachment of arevim ze bazeh, and that is how you're able to be makayem as much of the mitzvot. For instance, if I see a kohen, right, doing, I don't know, something, even doing a mitzvah, I can allow myself to be so attached to that kohen doing the mitzvah, pidyon haben, let's just say, right? And by doing that, by really being besimcha at a pidyon haben, for instance, I could enable myself to be so attached to that mitzvah, it's as though I was mekayem that. Just by thinking in my mind, speaking about it, feeling it, and doing it, being mekayem, being in that actual mitzvah, I can essentially attach myself to that existence. For instance, I know that, let's say, I heard about someone in the community who's a thief. Now, I'm supposed to attach myself to a thief? Guess what? There's a mitzvah in the Torah, and the mitzvah is, and I wrote it down, in the Sefer Vayikra, the Rambam explains, V'haya ki yecheta ve'ashem v'hashiv et ha'gzela. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that when you are a thief, you have a mitzvah to return that which you have stolen. But wait a minute, I'm not a thief. I never stole. But I heard that my neighbor stole something. Now look what I have. I'm now standing in front of this reality of knowing that my neighbor stole. How am I going to judge that neighbor? Oh, he should be embarrassed of himself. How could he do that? How dare him do such a thing? I would never do such a thing. I don't have it in me to be a thief. Or do I say, and here's where I'm bringing the animal back, do I go back and say to Hashem, why did you let me learn that there's a thief in my building? Why did you even allow my ears to hear that there is such a thing, such as thievery, in the existence in Am Yisrael? Why are my ears hearing it? Why do I see it? Why do I know it? Why do I feel it? Why did it even come to me? If it came to me, what did we say? Everything is a mirror. If it came to me, that means it belongs to me. That means somewhere inside of me, if I didn't have the godly spark, guess what? I also would have been a thief. What it means to me is I now need to go back to Hashem and I need to say to Him, the reason why you're showing me this thief is because you have so much Rahmanis. You want me to be so thankful for the godly spark you gave me. If I didn't have that godly spark, if you didn't have Rahmanis on me, guess what? I would have done the same thing. I would have been capable of stealing the same way my neighbor would have been capable of doing. But thank you, Hashem, that you have Rahmanis on me and you gave me what's called a godly spark, and without it, I would be nothing more than an animal. And just like an animal in the jungle doesn't look at the little, frog crawling around in the forest and say, you know what, my friendly lioness didn't eat today. Maybe I'll let them have the yummy frog for lunch, and I'll just be mevater to have that frog for lunch. Is an animal going to even think on that level? No. It's only because they have a godly spark and they have a humane part of themselves that allows them to be considerate and think about their friendly neighbor. But if one moment Hashem were to extract his godliness from us, we would all be animals. We would all be, and you could see it very clearly, unfortunately, with a lot of people, that at certain moments in their life, they lose their logic, they lose their godly image, and they become purely animal. Right? That's why it says you shouldn't look at a person's face when they're angry. Why? You're looking at the Satan. Befirush. You're looking at the Satan when a person's angry because there's no godly spark. Without the godly spark, there's only the essence of the klipa. So when we look at someone else, when you understand that what I'm looking at, when I see my husband yelling at me, when I feel hurt, I need to lift myself up and say to myself, you know what? At this moment, his godly spark is not within him. But thank you, Hashem, for showing me that if I, for 1 second, let go of my consciousness from you, I would be the same way. That's how I would be. I would be acting the same way. And by doing that, I understand that what's in him is me if I didn't have godliness. You wanted to ask a question?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Okay.
And then what do you do with it? What's the next stage?
So this is in relation to negative things that you see. Like, what if you see
Positive also.
So if you hear about a sick person, and we're hearing about a lot of people who are sick women, what should we be thinking in those situations?
Thank you, Hashem, for giving again. That
Just
Hashem, thank you for allowing me to be healthy. Because if I wouldn't be in the place where I'm in, where I'd have I wouldn't be able to do all the mitzvot. And I know that, and again, I want to judge that person in favor. And I want to say, Hashem, please have rachmanis on that person. Please forgive them for whatever it is that they do. Please take away the chisaron, take away the deficiency that caused that person to have that level of pain. Again, it's to see my vulnerability in the fact that if you didn't give me health, Hashem, I'd be just like that person.
So really using to thank Hashem.
To thank, so any level that you can find yourself attaching to Hashem, from whatever level. The idea is, what the very simple avoda here is, don't smash the mirror. Don't smash the person. Don't smash your reflection in the mirror, because it's all you. The Ganev is you. The liar is you. The killer is you. They're all you and me and all of us. You can't just say, well, the UN decided to go against Israel and not allow, our existence to be, validated. Something in me. Maybe there's something in me that's not validating my Jewish existence. It's something in me. I have to look at me. Aravim Zebazeh means that we're mutually responsible for one another. We're a guarantor of one another. Which means if someone defaults on their mitzvah, I'm the guarantor. I didn't do something. I'm at default. And I have to now compensate for that. Do you understand the level of responsibility that this takes us in? It's a huge responsibility. It's a very deep Torah. But if you embrace it, you really can achieve so much more emotional freedom, because you recognize this is... Thank you, Hashem, for showing it to me. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me a godly spark to work with. Because if I didn't have that counterbalance of godly spark, I literally would be on 4 going, rough. I mean, I'm no different. I'm absolutely no different. It's not an easy Torah, right? Not an easy Torah. It really isn't. It's a very difficult Torah to accept. But that's the Torah. Now here I want to go into the idea of Israel. And here is where my friendly neighbors in Torah Anytime world and YouTube world and wherever you are around in Chutz La'aretz may not be so happy with what I have to say. But again, this is not my words. This is the words of the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. And it goes like this. what happens here in Eretz Yisrael is that we have to confront an existence of high intense pressure. Anybody feel that lately? Anybody recognize it? Anyone feel there's a little bit more pressure here than, the green gardens of the backyard of our homes and, and I'm not saying everything is hunky-dory in New Jersey and Philadelphia and in California. I'm here to say that it's difficult in South Africa and England and all. It's difficult everywhere. We're all in the struggle. But we have to agree that there is a certain level of quietness and of calmness that can be achieved to some degree there, even for just the mere reason that when you go on a bus, you don't have to constantly possibly look over your shoulder to make sure there's no Arab there with some sort of weird backpack on his back. You agree with me? So there is some sort of level, huh?
If you're in New York, you still look.
Maybe if you're in the Bronx, you're right, or in Harlem. I did. Even in Brooklyn at 10 o'clock at night when I was walking the streets, you're actually
You did?
right. I actually did.
Of course.
Absolutely. You hear those big boom box and you hear, yo man, and you're like, I'm getting out of here. I'm out of here. So there is that level, but it's not in the same way. It's definitely not. I mean, when you're in your backyard and you're barbecuing and hi Martin, hi Jane, you kind of feel like you're one with the chevra of even the goyim. You do. There's that sense. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. There is that level of politeness. Here you go in. Hi Achi, ma shlomcha. You go on the bus and your bus driver is asking you about the shoes that you bought and where did you buy it from. There's a level of togetherness here that could feel very comfortable for people or very uncomfortable for people. And you find both walks of life. You have Americans that come here and say, wow, I feel like my doctor is my friend, and I feel like the pharmacist is my buddy. I want to invite him over for Shabbat. And then some are like, why does that person ask me about my personal business? Like, where's the respect? So it rubs people off in different ways. I personally that's what brought me back to Israel. I personally love it. I love the fact here, we're just today as we're coming, and coming to the class, there's a Hachnasat Sefer Torah, and everyone's coming out, and everyone's putting their chairs out, and everyone's dancing in the streets. I love it. That's, for me, what life is all about, okay? Okay. But why is it that Eretz Yisrael, and all the nations that were dwelling in Eretz Yisrael at the time when the spies came in, which we read just a few weeks ago, why is it out of all the nations that were in the land at the time, there was the Gershi and there's the Chiti and there's there was all the nations and there was the Knaani. Why is it that the Torah chooses to call Eretz Yisrael Eretz Canaan? Anyone ever think about that? There were 7 nations there. Why only Eretz Canaan? Why only after the Knaani? What's in that word Canaan? That's if it's with a kuf nun aleph. But you know what? You just brought something new to my mind, because you're right. If something sounds the same, even if it's not written the same way, there is. You know what? That's a new level of thinking. You're right. Maybe because there's a lot of kina'ah. There could be a lot of kina'ah going on here in Eretz Yisrael. I like that. But if you spell the word Canaan, it's kaf nun ayin nun. What is in that word Canaan? Hachna'ah. Hachna'ah. There's a level of surrendering. This is going to blow you away. You're going to walk home and you'll be like, yes, I live in Israel. I am so proud to be Israeli and have Israel passport on. I feel like I should work for the Israeli government. Why don't you hire me to just be nefesh b'nefesh and have everyone come to Israel? You're missing out. You're really missing out. Anyway, this is my little tsanua me, right? Anyway, this is my hachna'ah. I love Israel so much. We were sitting yesterday and we were saying, how is it that people don't walk on the ground and see diamonds? I see diamonds. Does anyone not see diamonds on the street? That's just me. I see diamonds on the street.
We all see it.
It's mamish so beautiful to live in this country. So here, now you'll understand where the Sahara is in living here in Eretz Yisrael. So the reason why the Torah calls Eretz Yisrael Eretz Canaan is because it's only in Eretz Yisrael that you can be brought down to your knees and surrender to your bad midot. Anybody notice how much you've got to work on your midot when you're here in Israel? When you're standing in the line, and this is not Lashon Hara, this is really telling it for what it is. You're standing in the line, and 300 people just decide to just very eloquently go in front of you in the line. You go to America, you go on the bus stop, everyone is like, it's like you feel like you're in boot camp. Everyone. Mr. Paul is behind Mrs. Smith, and then there's Martin, and then there's Joe, and then there's John, and then there's Susie. And they're all, and no one dare step out of, and I'm saying the truth, right? Am I wrong? We all, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the politeness of that. Everyone respects one another. You go in the bank. You don't need any numbers. You just stand in line, and you wait for your turn. And here, we love Israel, but the truth be said is my neighbor comes in and feels like I'm their sister, and so they feel very comfortable to go and push in the line, and I, being the American me, say, okay, I'll just be quiet because that's, they're my brother, they're my sister, they're my long-lost whatever, and I just let them go in. So here, it's not by chance that this happens here, because in Eretz Yisrael, you have to work on your midot, in front of the reality of someone else coming in and thinking that they are more important than you. But the reason why that is that way is because there's a lot of lachatz here. Think about it. At any moment, you don't know if there's was that a siren? Was that not a siren? There is that level of fight or flight existence here in Israel that you really don't know what's going to be from now to now.
Sorry, is it wrong to correct a person or to say something to a person? If someone, is it not a good midah to
Not in the least bit. You have to just, it's okay as long as you check first your heartbeat.
Right. Not
check your heartbeat. Are you burning with anger? Don't say a word. Just let that burning, you know what they say? When you burn with anger, you want to say something, but you don't feel whatever, it's the proper time, or you're not in that proper level of emotion, and you decide to not say anything. What you do is you close your eyes. People might think you're a little crazy, but that's okay. I give you permission. You close your eyes.
Unless you're driving.
You say, right. Oh, that you don't want to do. Thank you. Thank you for making that very clear. Unless you're driving, you do not want to close your eyes. But you basically go within yourself and you say, Hashem, take this esh. Take this esh of anger, and it's a korban on the mizbeach because I'm sacrificing the animal in me. I'm sacrificing I want to go and punch them in the mouth right now. Take the esh of the animal in me, and that it's considered a korban on the mizbeach at that time. That is the korban. Today the Bet HaMikdash is in your heart. What does it say? Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham. What is it, shachanti betocham? Where's that betocham? In their heart. When you take all your taivas, your negative emotions, your anger, whatever it is in your heart, and you lift it up and you say, Hashem, take this anger, this fear, this whatever it is that I'm going in my heart. It's a fire at that point because you feel like you're so impassioned by it. You say, Hashem, take it up. This is my korban. This is my korban to you. Do you know that is literally considered like you went on the Shalosh Regalim and you went to the Bet HaMikdash and you gave a korban because you sacrificed your animal. So, with that being said, yes, there's absolutely a place to be mechanech your children, even your husband, whatever it is, but it has to be done from a place of equilibrium within yourself. Because if you're talking out of anger, you could be saying, honey, it was really not good what you just did. But inside your fire, he's not hearing your voice. He's resonating with that fire. So you can't fool anybody by your tone of voice. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to tone your voice down, but you have to lift that up and then go to talk to the person. Even online, you just first make sure you do a conscious lifting up, and then your words that you're going to be saying to that person, like, Slicha, ani hayiti kodem, I'm sorry, I was first in line, which I do. I will say that to someone. That comes out in a very different way. So here, listen to this. So, Rebbe Menachem Mendel Mivitebsk, he is from the descendants and the disciples of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. He's actually buried here in Tveria. His father is actually buried in the Ohel of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, the hell that I can't wait to go back and daven on. Anyway, so yeah, Lily's right. Yeah, Lily was with us on the last trip, so she resonates, right? It's still there. The fire is still there. Can't wait to go back. If that's not a winner for you guys, I don't know. Anyway, and then you got me speaking 24/7 for 5 days. I don't know how much you guys would be happy with that, but I'm a chatterbox. Anyway, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Mivitebsk brings down in his sefer called Pri Haaretz. Listen to this. The Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh made many attempts to come to Eretz Yisrael and was unfortunately not successful, as many, just like Rabbi Nachman, many of them. They were just not given the reshut, they weren't given permission. They have their own holy sparks that they need to redeem. Al Admat Kodesh. They're doing us an immense favor. Do you think they didn't want to come? Do you think they didn't have the zchut to come? Every single tzaddik who's in Chutz La'aretz had 1,000,000 times more zchut than us to live here, let alone be buried here. But they are there sacrificing their nefesh, an aspect of themselves, so they can redeem the tumah that's left in Chutz La'aretz, just so we make that very clear. They sacrifice their life and their death in terms of being, in fact, as though the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh actually came to his son in a dream months after he was buried, and he says, please tell the disciples that there's a spark, a part of my nefesh was taken out of me, and I'm buried 4 graves to the right of the Arizal. I don't know what that means, but that's what he brought. That's what's brought down in the Sfarim of his Talmidim. That if you want, and in fact, as Rabbi Nachman also says, that if you can't make it to me, to Uman, go to Rabbi Shimon, because you can find me there. So that's why so many Breslovs, by the way, live around Meron and Tzfat, is because there's a lot of Hasidism and sparks of Hasidism in there. Anyway, off the topic. Rabbi Menachem Mendel was sent by the Baal Shem Tov. He was actually sent by Rabbi Dov Ber, the Maggid of Mezrich, who they too at the same time were the leaders of Hasidism at the time. He was sent to go to Eretz Yisrael, and as he goes into the port of Istanbul, of Turkey, because they had to at the time go through the boat, and they had to first go through Turkey, and that was the known route to get to Eretz Yisrael. He goes and he gets off of the boat, he goes into the port of Istanbul, and he turns around, and who does he see? The Satan. And he goes to this, and he brings this down in the Pri Haaretz. He brings it down, and he says to him, listen, goes to the Satan himself, and he says, listen, I'm making you swear right now you're not going to follow me to Eretz Yisrael. Do you hear me? And the Satan says, don't do me any favors. You don't want me to come? I won't come. And with that, he goes back on the boat, goes into the port of Yaffo, comes down to the port of Yaffo, looks and sees the Satan over there again. He said, don't you remember our conversation? I told you, you swore to me. You said to me, you're not following me. How dare you come here? He says, what? I didn't swear to you. Oh, it must have been one of my emissaries. It must have been one of my messengers. You know, I've got a lot of messengers in Chutz La'aretz. He says, what do you mean? I spoke to you. He says, no. You spoke to one of my shlichim. In Eretz Yisrael, I'm the boss.
Oh my gosh.
You've got to deal with me face to face when you're here living in Eretz Yisrael. So now you have a little bit of an idea of a glimpse that when you are living here in Eretz Yisrael, you are facing the Satan in his face. To the level of Kedusha, to the level of that you can elevate yourself and become godly, so too Hashem has to challenge us and show to us, you think you're a patient? Why don't you go and stand in Supersal for 3 minutes on an Erev Shabbos and let me see how patient you really are, honey? Or you think you love your neighbor like you love yourself? Well, let's see you stand at a bus stop when you're schwitzing in 100-degree weather and someone's pushing in front of you in front of the line. Let me see L'Reicha Kamocha and how wonderful you love your neighbor then. You don't have that challenge, so to speak, so openly and so grotesquely in your face anywhere else. But and in fact is, I hate to say it, again, this is not my Torah. Please don't blame me. But the idea is that in Chutz La'aretz, there's a level of hachna'ah that you cannot achieve Because Chutz La'aretz will not bring you down to your knees of checking your midot the way that Eretz Yisrael enables you to do. Now, I said this to somebody, happens to be in Chutz La'aretz when I was there. I brought this Torah on the Shabbos table, and you know what that person said to me? I'd rather live in a mask than have to deal with the abrupt culture in Israel. He was very honest. That's what the person said to me. And you know what? Maybe that's a deterrent for so many who live in Israel, because, who live in Chutz La'aretz, who think about that when they have to come here. It's the money, it's the change of culture, and it is. It's not an easy task. But in here, in this country, in this little country called Eretz Yisrael, you get to reach a level of hachna'ah that you cannot achieve anywhere else. And here's where you get to express the greatest challenged level of V'ahavta L'Reicha Kamocha that might be a little bit more easier for you to be able to achieve. But the truth is that here's where you get to meet those midot of yours. If you think that you're so patient, come here and spend a few days here and let me see how patient you really are. And don't tell me that it's only in Israel that you lose your patience, because I'm going to tell you and challenge you and say to you, no, that is you, and just Israel's bringing it out in you to show you that that's what's really hiding inside of you. In America or wherever it is, in Chutz La'aretz, it might be hidden under a couple of masks, because also you're sitting there and it is called Admat Nechal, it is called a foreign country, and to some degree we might also not feel comfortable letting out who we are also there, because there is a level of understanding that's not really my country. There is a subconscious feeling that it's not really my land. Here you feel it's my land, okay? So again, I have to preface this and say this because I know I could get a lot of hate emails from this, but I have to say the truth, and I feel like I need to protect the country and say what needs to be said. But I will say to you, it's not easy living here. And I have to say, for me, it was a matana that I lost all my money and I got sick and I had to be kicked out of, so to speak, the country to some level, a degree. I feel like I was almost forced out of the country, and I feel like when I came here, I really did run away with my tail in between my legs, because I felt like all my doors had closed over there. And today I could say thank you, Hashem, for all that. And I'm happy. It was a heavy price to pay, but it was a price that I'd be willing to pay again and again, because I'm so happy living here, even with all the challenges that I live here. But not everybody has that, and not everybody can do that. But I always say one thing: you have to at least daven to want to come here and live here in this country. Because at the end of the day, everyone needs to come here for Geula to come. For Geula to come, everybody's got to be here. Eliyahu Navi, Zechul L'Tov, is coming here. He's going to announce the coming of Mashiach. I know there's a machloket and all that. Some people say no, he'll actually be coming somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know of any other Torah that anyone has really showed me. Maybe someone's going to show me it. I understand. But I'm saying there has to be a desire. If all of the Torah says Eretz Canaan, if all the Torah talks about the land of Israel, which, by the way, happens to be one of the 613 mitzvot, is to live in Eretz Yisrael, then obviously that's one of the things we need to do. And with that, I'll just mention one last thing, because here I know a lot of us fail, and that even particularly those of us who live here. It's very easy, even when you're living here, to get upset with the country, with the bureaucracy, with the level of, again, impatience, the level of efficiency, you want to call it, with some of the ways that really happens here, living in Israel. But I want you to know that the level of Lashon Hara, when you speak about this country, there's even an idea that comes down that even if you just say, I heard this from Rav Avraham Levi Shlita, who actually lives here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and he's always speaks about the importance of living here in Israel. He was a very important Rav in Marine Park for many years, and he got up and left, and he has his whole beautiful family, large family here, and so on and so forth here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. And he said this, I'm repeating his words, he says, even when you say, boy, it's so hot here in Eretz Yisrael, he says that even that consists of Lashon Hara. Can you imagine that? Even saying something like, it's so hot here in Eretz Yisrael, seemingly is a very innocent comment. And here's where I'm saying to you, you have to work so hard on your midot to see the goodness as if you're not hot in America or in Russia, if for all that, when we go in August, don't think it's not going to be hot. It's going to be to some degree hot there anyway. Tammuz is Tammuz. Av is Av. It's hot. It's hot. When it's hot, it's hot. Go in your air conditioning or pray to Hashem that He takes and puts a cover, a hoister over the sun. But the bottom line is we have to be very, very careful. Pikama v'chama. Do you have to be that much more careful when you're talking about another your brethren, your fellow Jew? Be careful what you say about them, particularly in the next 3 weeks. Be very, very careful the way you speak. And remember, it's on all 4 levels. Be careful how you think, how you speak, how you feel, and what you do for your fellow Jew. Because that's the avoda. On all 4 levels, check yourself. And if you're not on that level where you feel you're protected, you've perfected it, or you're on your strive for perfection, ask Hashem. Say, Hashem, where am I in that Jew? Why am I having such a hard time loving, forgiving that Jew? Where am I? Where are my faults? Where is my shmutz? Shemetz minehu. Where is my shmutz in that person? There is that in them, in me. Show me it. Show me where that level of animalistic, shmutz is.
It's interesting because when we were talking before about other things like saying like it's the tova, we cannot sometimes believe it 100%. We know, but we can't feel it in the heart. But Eretz Israel, with some things that maybe people do that are not to our liking, I can't get it past thinking sometimes. Like how do I think it's like? How do I?
Again, so we gave here a practical piece of advice. Say, you know what? Thank you, Hashem, for giving me a godly soul. Because that's how I would be if I didn't have my godly soul. That's how I would act. And guess what? If at one moment you stop having Rahmanis on me and you decide to pull away your godly spark, that's the way I would be.
Same equation.
Same thing. Same thing. Just remember, we're living on Rahmanis. That's all we are. The reason why we're acting normal is because Hashem has Rahmanis on us and He's giving us the ability to be normal.
Meaning you don't really always have to see the good in what the person is doing something bad.
You just have to realize that if you didn't have that gift called the godly spark, you would be the same way. That's
because
absolutely.
Because we're always taught a gift kaf but when a person is doing something so like, I don't know, burning garbages or whatever,
Right, but again, you could say to yourself, you know what, if I didn't have the dot, if I didn't have the Torah, if I was angry, if I didn't have an outlet called the Torah to teach me anything else, I would probably be doing the same thing. Thank you, Hashem, for having Rahmanis, and thank you for showing me that that's how I really am without you in my life. Do you know what an elevation that is? First of all, you've lifted all of that yuckiness up to Hashem. You're thanking Him. You've done so many mitzvahs in just that recognition. This is a very important piece of learning that we learned today that could be applied to many avenues.
I just want to add one more dimension to the talk about Eretz Israel. There are so many miracles going on here all the time. It's a land of miracles. So just that alone.
Be part of the miracle. Right. Be part of the miracle. The miracle's happening. You're right. All right. Wishing everyone a wonderful 3 weeks. And we'll be in touch with Hashem soon.
You want to mention?
Thank you. Thank you. And next time I'll bring the books.
You want to mention next week's class?
Here?
Lecture?
Did I mention it here? We're on? Yeah, so next week we want to give another class here, but we're going to be talking about color therapy and the mechanisms of balancing our energies through different colors. I'm teaching Emuna through that whole idea of color therapy, so I'm inviting everyone to come next Wednesday night. We'll be on Torah time as well. Be'ezrat Hashem. And then the following week, one more class before the break of the summer. We're going to do another big shbang of the L'Reicha Kamocha. That'll be the following Tuesday. So it's next Wednesday and then the next Tuesday, but keep track of the emails. Same time, 8:30, yeah, and here.